Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene. Well, everyone is focusing on Afghanistan. The Arizona audit report is quietly underway. On Sunday, August 22nd, some new information broke out. The Gateway Pundit reported that audit spokesman Randy Pullen said that the machine recount numbers were finally delivered last Thursday to the audit team in Arizona. Pullen expects that the final audit report will be made available to the public by the end of this month. However, on August 23rd, Arizona Senate President Karen Fann said in a statement that they have received a portion of the draft report from the election audit analysis team, but the full report is not yet ready because 3 of the team members have tested positive for COVID-19. Fann said, quote, "The Senate legal team will meet Wednesday to start reviewing the draft report. Once remainder of the draft is submitted and the review is complete, the final report will be presented to the Senate Judiciary Committee and the findings released to the public." In the meantime, the auditors have finally received images of the mail-in ballot envelopes from Maricopa County, but the county still has refused to provide access to routers and other subpoenaed items. Arizona Attorney General opened an investigation into this violation of the law. If the county supervisors are in violation of the law, the state treasurer will withhold 10% of state shared revenue from the county. Violation of a subpoena is a Class 2 misdemeanor. On Sunday, Inventor Jovan Pulitzer released another audio that explains the audit process from this past week forward in Arizona. Pulitzer says that the results of the Arizona audit are going to be shocking. Pulitzer said Arizona audit was the fastest, most efficient, and most cost-effective for the number of ballots it audited ever in the history of the world, much less the United States. There is a tremendous amount of people that had to be hired. There was a tremendous amount of volunteers. So now you have all these experts from all around the country and everybody is putting together their reports. So all these reports go into one place. He emphasized that the report is not just the numbers. It is not about how many bad votes were found or how many good votes were found. It is about what is right and what is wrong. It is about explaining all the methodology and all of the science behind it and why you did what you did. The big final report comes out to be 197 pages. It seems that Jovan Pulitzer is the key figure in the Arizona audit team. At the end, he says, quote, "If I had to choose between a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not allowed and 10 being allowed, I would say it is a 12, and I stand by that. And when you are able to see the public report, you will understand why I say that." After many twists and turns, the audit in Arizona is finally progressing. The results can be expected. But in Pennsylvania, the forensic audit has suffered a major setback, with interference coming from both Democrats and Republicans. Starting last month, Senator Doug Mastriano began his push for an Arizona-style audit in Pennsylvania. He sent letters to 3 counties last month requesting materials related to the 2020 general election. However, none of the counties complied. As a result, Mastriano planned to have the Senate Intergovernmental Operations Committee, which he chaired, meet in early August to vote on issuing subpoenas to the 3 counties. However, the meeting was cancelled. During an interview aired Friday on One American News Network, Mastriano accused Senate President Pro Temp Jake Coleman for trying to block his pursuit of an election audit. He also said that Mr. Coleman has threatened to strip him of his chairmanship of the Senate Intergovernmental Committee and fire his staff if he moves ahead with the audit. Quote, "This is the kind of games that are going on behind the scenes," he said. In other words, Mastriano's supervisor direct blocked his effort. This is in stark contrast to Arizona, where the audit was led directly by Senate President Karen Fann. But Coleman refuted Mastriano's claims in a statement saying, quote, "It is deeply disappointing that Senator Mastriano has retreated from conducting a forensic investigation of the election in Pennsylvania." Coleman went on to appoint another lawmaker to lead a review of the 2020 election. Coleman said, quote, "Despite the setback, we remain committed to conducting a full investigatory audit of recent elections to improve our election system going forward." One thing to note here is that Coleman talks about having an investigatory audit instead of a forensic audit, and the difference between the two is really big. In my opinion, what has happened in Pennsylvania so far probably means that even if an official report is released from the Arizona audit, politicians and the mainstream media won't cite it. They will criticize it instead. Next, let's talk about the virus. On Monday, August 23rd, National Pulse released a shocking news. Researchers from the Wuhan Institute of Virology filed a patent for a device treating lab personnel accidentally exposed to dangerous pathogens in November of 2019, just months before the COVID-19 pandemic. An unearthed patent application from November 15, 2019, reveals the lab, which many scientists and government officials have identified as the source of COVID-19, designing a device to wrap around the fingers of individuals bleeding from lab accidents. The patent explicitly states the tool is designed for when medical staff or biosafety laboratory personnel are accidentally exposed, especially wounds. The unearthed document follows additional patents revealing the Chinese Communist Party-run lab worked with live bats, despite claims suggesting otherwise. The Wuhan Institute of Virology also filed a patent in 2018. This patent allows bats to be capable of healthy growth and breeding under artificial conditions. In my opinion, these two patents speak for themselves. The CCP can hardly find any excuse for what happened in the Wuhan Institute of Virology before the pandemic. On the same day, the Financial Times reported that Israel is now pushing for a third vaccination shot, hoping it will avert another lockdown. After Israel vaccinated most of its population and reopened its economy in March, they enjoyed pandemic-free lives for only 5 months. Now Israel's infection rates are soaring to the highest they've been since February, and everyone is prepared for another lockdown. Scientists are investigating what has gone wrong in the country where around 80% of adults have taken 2 shots. The reason appears to be that the protection the BioNTech Pfizer 2-shot vaccine offers seems to fade a lot faster than anticipated. Will the third booster shot solve the problem? Aaron Richardman, an infectious disease researcher at the University of Pennsylvania, said that it was too early to measure the booster's impact. People who were very early adopters of boosters were likely to be different in terms of occupation, risk aversion, healthcare-seeking behavior to those who choose not to seek a third shot, making comparisons difficult. What do you think about the booster shot? Please let me know by leaving a comment. Next, I will talk about U.S.-China relations. As almost every media outlet has been reporting, the purpose of complete U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is to focus on the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, Biden made his move right away this past weekend. On Friday, August 20th, he named the U.S. ambassadors to China and Japan on that very day. Just before that, China made a remarkable and arguably surprising move as well. The CCP abruptly halted the legislative process of the Anti-Foreign Sanctions Act in Hong Kong on August 20th, Beijing time. This is, of course, very unusual. The bill was probably called off urgently by Xi Jinping himself because he realized that the CCP was short on money. The anti-sanctions law was passed on June 10th of this year. If implemented by the CCP, it would only accelerate the financial decoupling between the US and China and the rapid departure of a large number of financial firms from the Chinese market, where the economy is already very bleak. The second quarter of this year's economic data, even in the absence of an pandemic, actually hit a new low. This, coupled with Xi Jinping's heavy blows to a series of listed companies, made Chinese stocks lose $750 billion in just a few weeks. Even financial elite George Soros could not hold back and published an article in the Wall Street Journal criticizing Xi Jinping. In other words, once the bill is implemented in Hong Kong, all international banks with operations in Hong Kong will face a dilemma: either support the US side and be sanctioned by the CCP, or support the CCP and be sanctioned by the US. In the current financial environment, it is likely that most financial institutions will not support the CCP because almost no bank is willing to take the risk of being sanctioned by the US, because that means they are likely to be excluded from the US dollar system. Therefore, it is indeed presumptuous for Xi Jinping to try to wrestle with the US in Hong Kong. From this perspective, the emergency suspension of the anti-sanctions law in Hong Kong is tantamount to a setback for the CCP in this area of sanctions warfare. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time.